Oh, to draft a QB or to not draft a QB. One of the hardest decisions I think the Seahawks are going to have in a long time, because we're probably not drafting in the top 5 or 10 for a long time again. And I went to Twitter today on my personal Twitter page at Sammy on Tap, and I asked the question, who should the Seahawks take? Should it be Will Anderson? Should it be Jalen Carter? Should it be Anthony Richardson? Or should it be someone else? And let's take a vote. And before I show you the results, I'm going to tell you what I think and why I think the answer is going to be Anthony Richardson. And it might surprise you for many reasons. We have a quarterback in Geno Smith. The Seahawks really could use someone on the defensive line or an edge rusher of some sort, anything interior or exterior on the defensive line. Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are probably the guys that have the dog in them, the guys that fit the Seahawks mentality, fit the roster, and could probably be impact players right away. But my key problem with thinking about drafting them is, are they going to be available at the number 5 pick? In my humble opinion, the answer is no. I do see Will Anderson and Jalen Carter as guys that could and most likely will. I don't know about Jalen Carter. We'll get there, but have a very high chance of going in the top 4. And so I just don't know if that's going to be the situation. And then we're going to say, you know what? Screw it. There's no other guys we want like those two specifically. And let's take a quarterback. Here's the deal. Geno Smith's going to be probably no better than he was last year. And that's not a shot at Geno. I don't think he's going to be much worse, but I don't think he's going to propel from the great season he had to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So I think he's a great option for the next 2 or 3 years, which is why we signed him for that duration. But it would be really nice for the Seahawks to use a top 5, 6 pick, even if they trade back a few, to get somebody like Anthony Richardson, have him learn behind Geno Smith, have him be a project, and eventually be able to take over for this team that's going to have a built roster to win with a young quarterback with no crazy contract. Now, when I go through the voting of the thread that I had on Twitter, a lot disagree, but I'm not sure if it's a full disagreement or if it's just who they prefer. I think there's maybe some lack of consideration of if they're available, because I did ask, if they're available, who do you want? So far, with 314 votes, we had 52.5% for Will Anderson, 27.1% for Jalen Carter, 16.9% for Anthony Richardson, and 3.5% for other. And there's one comment that stood out to me the most that I actually feel. By Jabbles, head says Will Anderson, heart says Anthony Richardson. And I think this is another case in point that we need to consider for the Seahawks. It could be, a situation where, is Will Anderson the smartest pick? Probably yes. Is he probably the best player on that board? Yes. But is that always what the Seahawks do? And I think the answer is simply no. I think the Seahawks, including Pete Carroll, who said it himself, know that this is a very rare situation to be drafting in the top 5. And I've said this in previous videos. If they're drafting in the top 5 or 6 in the next few years, that means something went epically wrong. Last year, we were a playoff team, and we re-signed Geno Smith. We made some offseason signings like Draymond Jones and Julian Love, and we're going to draft probably somebody for the defensive line. We're going to probably draft a 3rd wide receiver, and we re-sign Geno Smith. And all these things means we're trying to contend, or at least take a step above what we did last year. I don't think we're looking at this as a situation where we say, hey, we made the playoffs with Geno Smith last year. We paid him, and now we want to miss the playoffs? Absolutely not. Sorry, I even missed one. We brought back Bobby Wagner. We're going to get back Jamal Adams. So this team is building to be better this year than they were last year. So they're not going to have an opportunity for a top 5 pick in a long time. I would not be shocked, heart-wise, if Pete Carroll says, hey, we have Geno for a year or 2. This is probably his ceiling. And then when that contract's over, we're probably going to have a Super Bowl roster built with young talent everywhere. And you have the young quarterback and Anthony Richardson waiting in the wings. And that doesn't mean you have to take him at 5 either. If Jalen Carter and Will Anderson are taken, let's not forget the point that you could trade back a few spots. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it might be a great idea. But I get it. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, probably a better fit. Specifically Will Anderson. Jalen Carter had his off-field issues, which the Seahawks don't shy away from usually, to be honest. So I don't know if I'm overreacting to the off-field stuff, but he did have some off-field issues. I just see the AR-15, Anthony Richardson 15, being a good project for this team and something that's extremely likely to work out if they take this risk. But we'll find out. Let me know in the comments who you think. This is going to be huge. I also want you guys to let me know in the comments what videos you want next. I'm doing a lot of Seahawks and maybe some Mariners here and there. Any support means a lot to me. Like, you guys don't understand how much it means to me, so keep supporting. Much love. I'm Sammy on tap, and we'll be back tomorrow.